Good evening, welcome to the Heritage Commission meeting of August 8th, 2023. Let's rise to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight we have Steve Gannon, Selectman's representative, Stephen Calawa, and I'm Marion Colby. We have two absences. Both people had let me know in advance that they wouldn't be able to be here tonight, and we'll proceed with our meeting. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the July 2023 minutes. Does anybody have any additions or deletions or corrections for the minutes?
No, I move that we accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. Do we have any requests for additions or deletions to the agenda for this evening?
Not that
I do not have
Okay, we'll
any.
proceed with the agenda as written. We have our next item is for public input, and since there are no members of the public present, we will move on to our next item.
Okay, well, so public input was at 7:03 and closed at 7:04.
Oh, okay, we'll put that on there.
Matt will be watching it.
Okay.
Got a shot of the empty seats.
The public is always welcome to come if they have any items that they'd like to discuss at our meetings, so please feel free to come. Number 7, that was discuss the metal detecting policy, which is an ongoing development of this policy in various town departments. My most recent understanding is that the Recreation Commission has decided that the two spots where they won't allow metal detecting would be Moores Falls and the muster ground area.
Conservation.
I mean,
Conservation.
did I say recreation?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, correction, the Conservation Commission. And I think that, so we're okay with that because we're gonna collaborate with the Conservation Commission on these various sites. And they will handle any kind of requests that come in for their other sites, and we should be okay with that. Steve, is there any updates on that from the selectmen's?
No, it was not brought up at the last meeting. Our next meeting is next Monday,
Okay.
and I anticipate it being on the agenda at that time.
Okay, very good. So you'll keep us updated on that.
Yes, I will.
So at our last meeting, we discussed that we would like to, under our bylaws, that we should start trying to do a few of the other items that are in the bylaws, and one is to educate people and bring forth information about historic areas in town. And so we are going to start by highlighting the 5 buildings that the Historical Society worked very hard to get on the State Historic Register. Stephen Calawa serves as the president of the Litchfield Historical Society, and tonight he is going to give us a little history of the Presbyterian Church, the building of the Presbyterian Church, which is on Charles Bancroft Highway. Stephen?
Okay. What we're going to be discussing tonight was prepared by a committee that worked very hard for over 2 years
Look
to
at this
get
camera
5
there.
town buildings onto the State Register of Historic Places. So this is just starting with a little bit of background information for people. As you may know, Litchfield was one of 14 modern-day towns which collectively comprise the old township of Dunstable, Massachusetts. As early as 1656, the greater part of the township of Litchfield was granted to William Brenton, who was the governor of Rhode Island, by the Massachusetts General Court. It was called Brenton's Farm. Brenton's Farm original name was Natticook, meaning open place of the deer. The Natticooks, who called this town Natticook, were a branch of the Pennacooks that inhabited and cultivated the intervale portions of Litchfield, as well as Merrimack, Hudson, and Nashua. Litchfield was settled first about 1720. The inhabitants of this area on both sides of the Merrimack River petitioned the General Assembly of the Massachusetts Bay Colony for incorporation as a separate township from Dunstable. Its incorporation was granted July 4th, 1734. The name Litchfield was given to the town. A requirement of incorporation was that the town must settle a minister and build a meeting house. The first meeting house was completed in 1736 on the banks of the Merrimack River across from the Litchfield Historical Society building. It served both as a town hall and a church. Its denomination was Congregational. In 1809, the Presbytery of Londonderry formally organized a Presbyterian Church Society in Litchfield. The current church building was constructed in 1844. The church was reorganized under the direction of the Presbytery with the Reverend William Porter as its first pastor. A marker of the site of the first meeting house is on the opposite side of Charles Bancroft Highway from the Historical Society. The church is shown on the 1858 Hillsborough County map, which also shows the cemetery to the back of the church, part of which had been relocated from the old burial ground, once located on the west side of the Charles Bancroft Highway. One of the stones of note is that of the Honorable Wiseman Claggett. The inscription reads, "Here rests in peace the Honorable Wiseman Claggett, Esquire, formerly Attorney General for the King, afterwards for the state of New Hampshire. He lived 62 years and 4 months and departed this life December 4th, 1784. One of Wiseman Claggett's sons served as a United States Congressman from New Hampshire. Another son was the first chaplain of the United States Senate." Located to the north of the church is a small clapboarded building, which is once a hearse house. There are 2 doors on the south side of the building today that lead to a men's and women's outhouse. There's a large door on the east side of the building, which served to get the hearse in and out of the building. The original bell in the church is now about 180 years old and still hangs in the belfry. It was donated by the Reverend Benjamin Chase, a native of Litchfield. Sometime about 1870, 10 stained glass windows were installed to memorialize early founders of the church. The rose window over the pulpit was placed there at the turn of the century in memory of James F. Parker, who left his estate for the support of preaching of the gospel in the town of Litchfield to the Presbyterian Society and Church. The trust that he established continues to this day to provide financial support for the Litchfield Presbyterian Church. James F. Parker is buried in Hillcrest Cemetery in one of the 2 stone vaults there. Several of his descendants still live in Litchfield. Interior alterations to the church were completed about 1910. A platform was built level with the pulpit as a choir loft to accommodate a new organ. The original pews were removed and replaced with pews purchased from a church in Nashua that also happened to be undergoing renovation. Does anyone have water? Do you?
But I only took a sip.
I've got a catch. Thank you. There was a center door down a center aisle originally in the church, and it was, there were side doors, 2 aisles down the church, and it was replaced by a center door and a central aisle. In 1974, the church was raised and a cellar was dug below. The church was lowered onto the basement and was finished as a fellowship hall with a kitchen and restrooms. Before that time, there was no running water in the church. Sorry.
That's why I keep it, Stephen. I need a little break.
An addition on the east end of the church was constructed in 1974 after a town meeting gave the church a small strip of cemetery land to expand onto. The addition holds a conference room and a minister's office. The Litchfield Community Church Presbyterian has historically served the community in a variety of ways. A central point of Sunday worship for Sunday school, choir, Bible study, vacation Bible camp, youth camp, men's and women's fellowship, weddings, baptisms, and funerals. I am sorry for the dry throat, but that is our information on the Litchfield Presbyterian Church.
Thank you very much. That was informative. If anybody has any questions, they can send us an email, and we'll address it at the next meeting. And you can find our information on the town website.
Thank you,
Any
Dr.
comments?
Calloway. That was very informative.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I think at this point, maybe, I think the church is still utilized for events such, like the Boy Scouts use it, and there's certain different fundraisers, and so it still serves it serves the community still to this day.
It does.
Thank you for that, and we'll next month we'll do a different building in town to highlight them, highlight all the different historical sites in town. Moving along, is there any new business?
Not that I'm aware of.
No?
No? Okay, no new business this year. I mean, excuse me, this month. Our next meeting will be in September, and I can entertain.
Let's see, what's the date it will be? It'll be
Here's it on here.
September...
Second Tuesday.
Second Tuesday?
Let me see, I have it. Ready for this? Let's
So
see.
it will be the 12th?
Yes, the 12th of September.
September 12th.
So, as I said, if anybody's interested in becoming alternates and coming to our meetings, that we'd appreciate that as well. So just let us know, and we can be found on the town website. So,
I think what you just read would be great to do an actual video history tour of the church.
Sure.
That's some really good information that I definitely did not know, and I think it'd be really interesting to walk around the church and point out the stained glass and how it was raised and where it originally located. I
Absolutely.
definitely found it informative.
We can probably arrange that with Russ one of these days.
Yes.
I would be delighted to do this one.
that would be great, thank you. Motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, meeting is now adjourned, thank you.
I can't believe how dry my throat is.